Hi, Raul. Such a pleasure to have you here. And it's been like quite a few years we've known each other, but we haven't made a podcast. So here we are. So, Raul, for those that don't know you, tell us who you are and what you're up to.
Well, first and foremost, thank you so much for having me here. It's just a great pleasure and honor, I'm in the real estate and the educational space. I love to invest, and I love teaching other people how to, invest in the real estate world. And it all started just because I was raised working in the restaurant field, and I saw the scarcity of resources that my family had. And at one given point, I was like, I got to do something different. And for me, I just fell in love with the real estate aspect, because there was three things that I would see the most in my childhood years. It was people, cars, and real estate. As I was passing out door hangers, that was my world. It was people, cars, and real estate in San Francisco. So, I would play the games of one day I will own that car, one day I will buy that property, and little did I know that I was gonna end up buying properties in San Francisco.
So that's like the genesis of the momentum. But like, where's that momentum taking you? Because you're saying that you're buying real estate. That don't mean nothing in reality unless you start putting some numbers on it. And you say you're teaching. That don't mean much of anything until you start putting some numbers so that we can see really the impact you're actually really having.
Right. So on the real estate side, there is the properties that we buy and resell. So that we buy, redevelop, and resell, and then there's the ones that we buy and hold. So on the reselling side of it, we buy anywhere from $30 to $40 million worth of real estate and to resell, and then the ones that we buy, we have a little over 3,000 doors.
And how many people do you train and teach? And there's one thing also, because here we're speaking in English, right? I mean, as far as I understand, we're on English. However, everything you do is in Spanish.
On the teaching side.
On the teaching side.
Yes.
So here I would like you to, because you're serving a community that was really underserved on that aspect, and you found that niche, and you're really totally taking over in this space. So tell us about that.
Totally. So for me, it was, I have a philosophy. I won't teach what I don't believe, and I won't teach what I won't do. And everything started with, let me create mastery in the real estate field, become financially free, and do extremely well before I will ever start teaching. And I remember, taking a shower. It all started when I was taking a shower and I was hearing a YouTube video from a gentleman saying that in the United States there were around 40 million people that would speak Spanish, and that even though they would understand, somewhat English, 70% of them, they would prefer to, consume the information in Spanish. And that was the moment that it was an epiphanic moment that I said, I need to go and teach. Yeah. And I did some testings, and the testings proved the thing to be right. I researched that if it was true about the 40 million, it was. Everything, it was, and who would have thought it was from
that huge,
from a shower to hearing a YouTube video to literally just at the right, like at the right moment, just processing it and saying, I must go and serve my people.
I mean, 40 million, this is a country.
40 million.
40 million is a country. Like France has 60 million people, and that 40 million, it shows like really the impact. Yeah. There's an entire nation within the nation that is underserved and literally doesn't get the information. So because they don't get the information, the consequences, there's generations that cannot grow, cannot emancipate, cannot educate themselves, cannot learn how to make the most out of living here and being part of this beautiful nation.
Absolutely. To me, it's like I can't forget how my parents came to this country to give us a better opportunity, and most people work so hard to pay bills. And I saw it in my family. And I said, I must do something different. And after I achieved it, my passion is I want to teach others how to get out of the freaking 360.
The grind.
The 360 race that it's broken. They need to get into the 180 race, which is progress, which is fundamentally being free and doing it their way. Because the old way is not working, not anymore.
So when you, because we're talking about, taking on 40 million, there's a lot of people, giving them the opportunity to learn, to implement things that you have achieved for yourself and your family, and they're doing so. I know we discussed earlier, you mentioned 10,000 people in your community that you teach, train, then you elevate those that are successful so that they become teachers and trainers themselves. Can you tell us some success stories, something that really stands out to show how your effort, how it has served the community and how has that transformed certain families?
Absolutely. I have, for instance, one of the students is Miss Hassel Solis, who was a stay-at-home mom. Her husband worked in the construction field, making about $40,000 a month in the market of Tennessee. And when they started, with the academy, she wasn't working. She has a little boy. They were basically just living off of the $40,000, yearly income.
Yeah, yearly, because I think it said month.
Okay, so it's a yearly income.
Yeah.
So can you imagine 3 family members on a $40,000 yearly income, for all the necessities? She told me that, they were barely making it. They were barely, there were times that she was frustrated from not just being in the same spot. And she decided to start in the academy, and I could sense her dedication and focus. Fast forward, she, up until today, 3.5. It took her 1 year, to get started, because she thought, well, I don't know if it's true. This seems too good for it to be true. Could I make it? Maybe, having doubts. And then
that's a huge problem. What you mentioned is that for a community that is underserved and is kind of even neglected. Sometimes neglected by their own, those that actually make it, they don't go back and help them. They just kind of move forward. So for them to actually believe there's actually somebody that is willing to bring up the solution, implement it, and make it happen, you got to go over that doubt, go over that too good to be true feeling.
Totally, because they feel like, why would there be someone else trying to teach me? Yeah. What is he getting, or what is he getting?
What's the trick?
Yeah, what's the trick on it? And oftentimes our minds are so negative to it, that we've lived so negatively that that's just how we carry ourselves.
It's kind of what beat into us.
Yeah. So she got started, and guess what? She started doing her first deals, and started really following what I teach and really doing it. Because the key element here is 3 things. Is that she started studying, applying, and getting mentorship. And today, a few weeks ago, she showed me what she's going to make on the deals that she has lined up to sell. And boy, her husband would have to probably work 20 years, 25 years. And she's making it in real estate. Yeah. So picture that for a moment. She's making that in less than 1 year, what her husband would have to work 20 to 25 years.
That's where we see the power of education, the power also of commitment to actually take action. But now we can use that example to motivate others, to make them believe and create a movement so that others start like snowballing, kind of say, she did it, I can do it. And slowly it shortens the time between the moment where there's the doubt that starts and actually where the first steps is taken and actually move forward with it.
Absolutely.
And that's why you elevate your successful students to the position of trainers and all this, so that they can also, it's not just oh, Raul, he's just a geek genius and he's got lucky, whatnot. And, you know, like a nerdy, he's doing it, yeah, I will never be able to.
Right.
And slowly you demonstrate that it is, if you apply the principles and follow the training, you too can do it. And that's how you elevate your
principles
your
don't fail, people do. You know, it's simple as that. And, you know, what I love the most, and I can tell you, for instance, another story from Miss Patricia. Miss Patricia Duzin, you know, she was a waitress, and she decided to embark into the real estate journey. Her challenges are even a little greater because her English is extremely limited. And yet, you know, she was going through a divorce and needed to support herself and her kids, and decided to, you know, jump into the academy. And she had a big why, her kids, you know, of trying to raise them and giving them a great example. In the week program that we have, she found a deal that literally, one deal gave her the income of 2 years. So that was the beginning for her career. Today, she's a full-time real estate investor, you know, and has reached financial freedom.
So this is life-changing.
As well as Miss Hassel, as well as many others. But it takes hunger, it takes commitment, and it takes making a quality decision of wanting to truly change.
But that's also a testimony to how you conduct your training and your integrity and your demeanor, because they would have never started if they did not believe it was possible. And you led the way, and now you give the opportunity to the other ones to also demonstrate the possibilities, and slowly, you know, it kind of like creates because the hunger is kind of a tricky thing. Everybody can be hungry. It does not mean that they want to go hunt for the deal. It may end up with chips that just zero benefit to it, right? But you demonstrate that there's something better, something they may have never imagined possible for themselves.
Well, they just gotta, you know, they gotta take the step of. I would not even ask. You gotta believe. You just gotta take the action, and in the process, you may believe. Mm-hmm. Because oftentimes you don't believe. You just gotta take the action, and then you'll find the belief. And then oftentimes you may believe, and then that's what make you took the action. The reality is simple. You know, the decisions you don't make could be the most costly thing in life. And for them, the decisions that they made, it was the best payout in life.
The most rewarding, for sure.
Yeah.
Because it changed everything.
Yeah.
So anyway, so we're really looking forward to every time you come at BA and you're on the panels or you contribute one way or another. It's funny because, you know, here we're talking real estate, but the other day you were contributing greatly about crypto and the different investment. You even got teased because you get dubbed the Bitcoin Luna. And so it was funny, but it demonstrated also that you have.
They may call me that I'm Satoshi now. You know, like the Satoshi Latino.
That's it. But at least, you know, you contribute greatly, and every time you speak at BA one way or another, whether it's from the audience or on stage, you know, everybody values your insight and your wisdom. So we really appreciate that, and we're looking forward for the next BA, where certainly you're going to be contributing some more. I love that you bring your mini-me, because he's awesome and he deserves to be known. And thank you so much.
Well, appreciate it, you know, Mr. Jerome, that you invited me here. Very grateful to be a part of this. And, you know, my vision is simple, is empower to transform. And the best way to do it is just leading the path and leading the way. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much.